Hello my friends. Pizza is one of America's favorite foods, but unfortunately for many of us we're limited to how much pizza we can have due to the crust. The wheat, flour is not agreeable with many people and very high in carbs. So if you're on a low carb diet, there are alternatives to the type of pizza that you can have. So today we're going to make a pizza crust from cauliflower. And you take your cauliflower and you rice it. And nowadays you can find in the stores riced cauliflower that's pre-frozen. So we're going to make our own cauliflower rice. In one of my previous videos I did a pizza crust using puffballs. So a lot of people may not have access to that, or they're afraid to use a wild picked mushroom, which I don't blame them in that area. So let's go ahead and start with making our cauliflower rice. We start by removing the outer leaves, and you can break them off like I'm doing, or you can cut them. And sometimes the cutting might be easier. Now we can use the stem, which I do. This will be riced also. And you cut this up so that you can fit it into a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, you can pre-cook this and then just dice it up. The food processor, I'm using the cutter with the small teeth. And we feed these pieces in. You can do this after you steam a cauliflower head, but I find it easier to do this when it's still firm. Here we have our riced cauliflower. And you can either steam the cauliflower, or what I'm going to do is put this in the microwave for approximately 8 minutes. And you have to do it in a microwave safe bowl, and Corningware is okay to be used in the microwave. This was cooked about 12 minutes in the microwave, and the microwave created a lot of steam, so we need to get all the moisture that we can out of this. We need this to be as dry as we possibly can get it. So put this in a I have it in a dishcloth, but you could use cheesecloth to do this. Now you want to gather it up and squeeze it out. You might let it cool a little bit before you do this. The more you squeeze out of this, the firmer the pizza crust will be. If you don't get enough, it'll be somewhat soggy. That's about all I could do. Here you can see how much liquid was squeezed out of the one head of cauliflower. And the dishcloth, it can be thrown back in the laundry when you're done. And now we add our ingredients, but before you do, I'm going to let this cool. We're adding egg, and if this was hot, it would start cooking the egg. Now we want to put this together. You take 2 eggs, beat the eggs, add that to your riced cauliflower, and then we take a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Cheese is an important item for this, or it won't hold together. The eggs and the cheese stick or bind the cauliflower. And then we take a 1/2 cup of mozzarella, a teaspoon of oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, half teaspoon of salt, and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And we mix all this up. After thoroughly mixing, next what I do is I divide this. Now this is not going to work like regular dough. This is not dough. So I'm dividing this in half. An important thing to do is you have to use parchment paper, or else you'll never be able to turn this over. It will stick to the pan. And either use your hands or a spatula and shape this into a pizza crust and make it between 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch thick. And I like to make little personal pizzas. So that one cauliflower is making me 2 small personal pan pizzas. Now, a good trick is to make this outer perimeter a little bit thicker than the inside. It will make it more dough-like, or pizza crust-like. Now this is going to go into the oven for about 20 minutes on one side, and then it will be flipped over, and the only way to flip it is having this parchment paper, or else it will be sticking. Even with the spray, it will stick to the pan. It's good to make extra and freeze it. It freezes well. What you do is you make this and bake it, and after it's baked, put it in a seal-a-meal or a Ziploc and freeze it like that. Ready to go into the oven at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. 20 minutes in the oven. Now we're going to turn this over. And we do not need to have the paper underneath. It won't stick this time. Now it's going to go back in the oven for 10 more minutes. Just come out of the oven after 10 more minutes, and now you want to dress the toppings. Also, you don't want to overdress these pizzas because it will kind of rehydrate the cauliflower, and we want to keep it dry. So use whatever toppings that you like, and I like sauteed mushrooms, black olives, pepperoni, and of course more cheese. And we do have cheese inside the crust, so we don't need to overdo that. And I do like Parmesan, so we're going to add a little more Parmesan. Okay, now this goes back in the oven until the Cheese is nice and bubbly, maybe 5-10 minutes. Time for a test, right out of the oven. Wonderful. I prefer this over the dough. Really good. The cauliflower in the dough, or for the dough, it has 4 grams of carbs in comparison to 41 grams of carbs in flour crust. The calories, 56 calories in the cauliflower crust compared to 391 calories in dough crust. Very healthy choice. Thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.